I got the privilege to speak to y'all. Most of y'all don't know, some of y'all may know, Will and David call me rodeo minister. So therefore I get to go out and speak to horse shows and rodeos when they do their cowboy church. But I've not had the privilege to speak to y'all. So today I'm going to get the chance to do that. Today, my message is the parable of the lost son. We'll be in Luke 15. This parable has special meaning to me. As we go through it, I'll only explain. I'm a horse person, so everything's going to be kind of related to horses and rodeos. So if you don't follow, sorry. I'll try to do it the best I can because most of the time I speak to horse people and rodeos. So we're going to get started. In Luke 15, verses 11 through 13, it says, "There was a man who had two sons. The younger one said to his father, 'Father, give me my share of the estate.' So he divided the property between them. Not long after that, the younger son got together all he had, set off for a distant country, and there squandered his wealth in wild living. So the young man wanted his inheritance now. He did not want to wait. So he asked his father for his part of what was to come to him. So, of course, dear old dad said, sure. He'll split it up between him and his older brother. A few days went by after he'd split it up, and his father noticed the youngest son started gathering his things together. And then he watched as his son hit the dusty trail. And in verse 13, it says in a distant country. So this would be like him headed out west somewhere. And then in the same verse, he squandered his wealth. Sounds like to me he rodeoed a lot and didn't make it to the pay window. So let's keep reading and see what happened now that he is in the distant place and has no money. In verse 14 and 15 it says, after he had spent everything, there was a severe famine in that whole country, and he began to be in need. So he went and hired himself out to a citizen of that country, who sent him to the fields to feed the pigs. Okay, now he's in trouble. So he's away from home, broke and starving. In today's time, that'd be like middle of black rolling forest with your cell phone, or without your cell phone. Either way, you don't have service. So you can't call for help. Remember, this young man is a Jew. According to Moses' law, stated that the pigs were considered unclean animals. This was to protect the Jews themselves and not even being able to touch them. All right, let me recap what's going on so far. He's a long way from home. He's broke. He has no money. He's starving, and he's humiliated because a Jew is not supposed to touch pigs or feed them. But then it even gets worse. Look at verse 16. It says, he longed to fill his stomach with the pods that pigs were eating. Not one gave him anything. So now he's hungry. He's hungry. He is so hungry that he's wanting to eat what pigs eat. Do you know what pigs eat? They eat everything. Have you ever been that hungry? Well, that's ranking pretty up there. I'm a picky eater, so that'd be like me wanting a salad. I don't eat anything green. The green stuff is bad.
No kids in there, is there?
No kids.
Yeah, back to eating with the pigs. They will eat whatever you put in front of them, but the pigs wouldn't even let him eat with them. The pigs kept pushing him away. I should know that. I have a brother that's 6'5" and 250 pounds. He kept me away from food. You know, you've got that horse out in your pasture that you feel compelled that it keeps getting ran off from its food. So you feel compelled that you need to do something about it. So you bring him up and you feed him separately. Well, no one did this for this young man in the parable. Let's read further and see what happens. So in verse 17 through 20, it says, when he came to his senses, he said, how many of my father's hired servants have food to spare? And here I am starving to death. I will set out and go back to my father. Say to him, Father, I have sinned against heaven and against you. I'm no longer worthy to be called your son. Make me like one of your hired servants. So he got up and went to his father. All right, in verse 17, he finally came to his senses. How many of us have come to our senses when we've been away from our loved ones, broke, starving, and humbled? He realized that his father's servants had food to spare. Basically, he has decided, if I'm going to stay here, I'm going to starve to death. The young man decided to head back home, and he asked his father to hire him. Not as a worker, not as a son. Because in the young man's eyes, he was not worthy of being called his son by his father. In verse 20, it says, he got up, so he must have been laying down or on the ground. So when you're down on the ground, there's only one place to look, and it's up. So he got up, and now comes the task of going home. Growing up, coming back home from a barrel race or something, or a rodeo, there was a long ride home most of the time, because someone else in the truck may not have done as well as you did, and you didn't want to say a lot. So it was an awful quiet road home. He's a long way from home, so he has time to think about what his father's reactions is going to be, the consequences of what he has done and are going to be. The scars that he left behind when he left. So, continues on in verse 20. It says, cause the reaction is a little different than what he thought it would be. So in verse 20 through 23, it says, but while he was still a long way, his father saw him, and he was filled with compassion for him. He ran to his son, threw his arms around him, and kissed him. The son said to him, Father, I have sinned against heaven and against you. I am no longer worthy to be called your son. But the father said to his servants, quick, bring the best robe and put it on him. Put the ring of his father and sandals on his feet. Bring the fattened calf and kill it. Let's have a feast and celebrate. What did that verse say again? While he was still a long way away, the father saw him and was filled with compassion and ran to him. Ran and threw his arms around him. The son had been taken back by this. What? He was not mad? It says that the father saw him, which tells us he was looking for him. He was still looking after all these years. He was so excited that he ran to him. The son goes to tell his father that he was wrong. He wronged him and sinned against him. And the heavens and not longer worthy to be called his son. But the father did the opposite of what the son thought he was going to do. He asked for them to bring out the robe, which would be like the silks that jockeys wear at the racetrack, with the family crest on it, and the ring. The ring shows that it belongs to his father, that he belongs to his father and the family. Plus food, not just any food, the fattest calf, so that means there'd be steaks on the grill. Completely not what the son was expecting. So, the parable, this is where I can relate to the parable. When I was 11 or 12, I had a horse accident. I can remember parts and pieces of it. God only knows what really happened. I'm going to tell you what I can remember of it. It was in May. It was 2 days before I was supposed to graduate 6th grade. So it was hot outside. I had a Little League game that night. I love playing baseball at that time. So my dad normally picks me up from my great grandmother's, and then I would, when he got off from work, every day. Every afternoon, my mother would come home and ride, or we would ride. So my job in the afternoon was to go catch the horses. I'd catch them, bring them back to the house, so my mom would be able to ride when she got home. So that afternoon, nothing different. My dad asked me to go catch the horses. But on this day, for some apparent reason, I was just angry. I didn't really want to. But I went to catch her horse. I wasn't going to ride that day because I had a baseball game. So I was just really upset. So I did as my father asked, but I wasn't happy about it. So I went towards the barn. Our barn was about 200, 300 yards away from the house. So I had to walk up there. I was very deprived as a kid of not having a four-wheeler. So I had to walk. Goodness, anyway. I can remember a lot about that day. It was hot. I can even remember the color shirt and pair of shorts I was wearing. I was really unhappy. But I obeyed. I started walking. I mumbled up under my breath all the way to the barn. And once I got, and just being downright hateful towards my mom and dad, because I didn't really want to go catch a horse that day. I had a baseball game to go play. Come on. I get to the barn. The horses wouldn't come to the barn like normal. But anyway, they were on the other side of the pasture, which was another 250 yards away. They were real happy and content. The grass was knee high. They were just out there eating grass. So I guess I needed to start walking to catch them because they wouldn't come into me. They wouldn't get any closer. So I started walking towards them, still mumbling under my breath, still being very hateful. Finally got to them, and I put the halter on the horse, started walking back. So now I'm thinking, the only thing I can think about is getting home and eating and getting ready to go to the baseball game. When all of a sudden, the only thing I can hear is hooves, and then everything goes black. This is where everything gets fuzzy. Only God sometimes God blocks things from us so we don't remember what happened. But some of these parts I was told by the gentleman that was passing by that happened just to be passing by just in the right time to see what happened. I remember him screaming, "I'm going to get your dad." And then everything goes black again. I remember coming to, again, waving my arms over my head. And then everything goes black again. But from every day, I can see this and I can feel what's fixing to happen. I finally come to, I see my father clear a 5-foot fence. He's coming running towards me and he puts his arms around me. He says, "It's going to be okay. I got you." Those little 9 words, that's all he had to say. I was broken, I was bleeding, I was humiliated, and I was scarred and not worthy of being saved. My father came running with open arms to rescue me. Yes, I had to deal with the consequences of my actions. I still have the scars to remind me, but just as my father and the father in the parable, God's telling us about God will come with open arms and compassion to save us. No matter the distance you put between you and Him, all you have to do is turn around and say, "Lord, help me. I'm right behind you," and you cannot run from Him. He's right there. So in Luke 15:24, "For the son of mine was dead and is alive again. He was lost and is found." So they began to celebrate. The father said, "My son was dead, but now is alive. He was lost and now is found." So today, if you exited the arena of life, where would you end up? God will come running towards you with open arms, pick you up, and carry you to safety. No matter how far you are or broken, humble yourselves and let God in and let Him put the family crest and ring on your finger. Let Him call you son or daughter. Luke 15:10 says, in the same way, I tell you, there is rejoicing in the presence of angels of God over one sinner who repents. The rejoicing in the repentance of angels of God over the sinners who repent. So today I just wanted to share part of my testimony that I have. Never really thought I had a testimony. I grew up in church, been in church my entire life, but I always thought I never really had a testimony. But after my accident, back when I was that young, I just felt like God had put me, God had put kind of like a testimony in me. So that was what I had laid on my heart this week. To tell y'all, we gave David the vacation day off, so y'all got me. But I know it was kind of short and sweet. Like I said, I normally do rodeos and horse shows, and I've got about this much time that I can spit everything in because they're on the time schedule. Here we're not, so I'm really short and sweet. So we're gonna pray.